Welcome to the Culture Docent with Dr. Carr, where real stories spark real change. Together, we'll break down culture, leadership, and inclusion and rebuild them into something transformative. This is where conversations become movements. This is the Culture Docent.
This week, we had some unexpected technical glitches with our guest video, but the conversation was far too important not to share. So today, we're bringing you an exclusive audio forward edition. Think of it as a chance to listen with a fresh focus, no visuals, just voice and compelling perspectives. This also gives you a chance to weigh in on this format as we consider how we'll launch more audio forward content for you in the future. Enjoy the episode and let us know what you think. I promise you the insights are worth leaning in for. Right. Hey, y'all. This is Dr. Carr, the Culture Docent, here to help you navigate and curate the experiences you want to have. So I want to thank y'all for continuing to rock with the Culture Docent podcast as we've been talking about trust, safety, career pivots, leadership styles, just all the things, right? We've been talking a lot and it's been wonderful. And today I'm very excited to be discussing this idea of how we're cultivating our passion and building legacies. And it's a pleasure to be joined by Globey, a lifestyle content creator and Carnival expert. So Globey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so my name is Globey. As you've said, I have Caribbean background from both Trinidad and Dominica. And I decided a couple of years ago to begin a lifestyle blog documenting my carnival journey. And from there, it took off. I am now 4 million impressions into this experience, well-traveled, having done press trips. Like, it's been amazing being flown all over the world to experience carnival from this perspective, teaching, educating about culture, and just kind of embracing that my passion has brought me through this far.
I love that. I personally have learned so much
Yes,
from you.
that's good to
So
know.
highly encourage y'all. We'll tell you how you can get in contact with Globey and follow
Yeah.
all of her adventures. And you can learn as well because it is not just, partying, which is a major part, and we'll get into that.
Yes.
But there's just so much knowledge, right? And so much that we
Mhm.
can learn that is reflective of the diaspora, reflective of our own communities. We've talked about, the similarities between Southern Black folks and West
And
Indians. So
Caribbean,
it
that's
is,
true. It's very much alike. Very
it's so much,
much
it's
alike.
so,
Yeah,
so
very
similar.
similar.
And just, being able to really connect in that way, I absolutely
Mhm.
love it. So I'm really excited about
Me
today's
too.
conversation. When I was thinking about this topic specifically and thinking about what legacy is, right?
Mhm.
I think people always are like, okay, it's the material wealth. And I feel like that's too transactional. Like,
Mhm.
and today, I'm telling y'all now, we are not fixing to talk about wealth builders. Like, we're not talking about how you need a will and rich dad, poor dad type of thing. Like, that's not
Where's
today's
your estate
conversation.
plan? Is it in a trust?
Yeah, we're not, and
Even
those
though
things
that
are
is
important,
important. Right.
right?
They're
They
important, but we're
they
not
are
not that
very
part.
important, and we need people to do those things. But that's not what we're talking about here, right? Like,
Mhm.
we want you to create those sustainable structures for you and your loved ones. Yes, protect your intellectual property. That's a really big one right now. Like, yes, we want you to do that, but to me, I think that legacy is extending beyond, just that your good job and put in money into your
Absolutely.
savings and your
Absolutely.
trust, right? Legacy to me is like this lasting impression of you as an individual, right? So what are people going to say about you when you leave this earth at your homecoming? Is it going to be a celebration of life, like the life
Or a
that you lived?
celebration that you're gone.
Are they going to be happy that you left, right?
And we
Like,
see
that
that
is,
often now.
we
You
see
see
it
that so
so
often, like
often.
when people pass away now, it's kind of like, well, they didn't live right when they were here, so I don't particularly care that they're no longer here now. And that
Exactly.
to me, like what people say about you when you're no longer here is just as important as what happens when you are here and
Exactly.
shaping that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, that's really, again, when I'm thinking about legacy, that's where I'm going. Even if you didn't have, a dollar to your name, right? And people celebrated you because of the legacy, the things that you built, the wisdom that you imparted, right? I'm not going to name no names because it's not just one person, but I feel like there's a lot of folks running around like making babies so somebody can have your last name. Right? Like, you don't even have 2 pennies to rub together for
Yeah.
real, like, and you're talking about, "That's my legacy, that's not a legacy.
That's
That is not a
lineage. That's
legacy."
lineage. But a lot of people intertwine the two and they don't know what the meaning is. But hopefully we get to straighten that out.
Absolutely, and I love that, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's lineage, right?
Yeah.
Like, legacy is, what values did you impart? Did you
Mhm.
demonstrate integrity? Did you
Mhm.
exude strength in your character?
Mhm.
What are the things that you are leaving for your loved ones and that could be blood family, chosen family, if your philanthropic effort,
Mhm.
all of that is about your legacy, and it's so important that we are thinking about that all the time and how we're building that and what we are leaving behind. Um, because I mean, there are a variety of religions, but for me, right, like I feel like we only get this one time, this one opportunity now. And so I want to make sure that I'm not only, living now, but what am I leaving for all of the people that are going to come behind me that I care
Yeah.
about? And
Definitely.
so, yes, I am excited to jump into this with you because I feel like you're not only creating a lasting legacy for yourself, but I really want to, talk about how you've been able to do so by following your passion. So, what have you found to be the most rewarding in shaping your own path, like based on your interests and on your passions, and how has this really translated into that legacy for you?
Hmm. I would say being able to shape my own path has created the opportunity to kind of find my own footing, find the things that I like without control from anyone else and truly enjoy it. In the sense that, let's say you're doing work and writing might not necessarily be your strong suit, but marketing is, right? And in a space like this, because you are the creator, the editor, the writer, the everything, you kind of get to partake into your strengths in that way and to elevate them. So there's no one in the background telling me like, Gobi, this is not going to work. Like if I want to try that, I absolutely can. So I would definitely say the one thing is to kind of run with anything and there's no pullback, especially in the content creation space. The other thing would be to also etch your own legacy. Like I can say no to a lot of things. I'll even give you a good joke. Like the other day, there was a vendor that reached out to me about me not including them on something. And whereas usually, like if you had a corporate structure like a Coca-Cola or something like that, like you'd have to go through the proper channels to make sure a shareholder felt cared about or somebody that's paying felt seen. For me, it's like this is my thing. So if I don't want to include you, I don't have to, and that's
Right.
okay. It also eliminated a sense of like, I don't want to say urgency, but like doing things purely for money. Once you get to a point when you're financially comfortable, like you don't need to do something for money, like you can truly choose things that you are attached to, you care about, and that you're passionate about. So I would say that's the biggest reward. For me at least, just the autonomy, doing whatever I want, how I want to is the best part.
I love that you said that because even you mentioned around and once you get to a place financially, like,
Hmm.
honestly, like, you might not even be in the place
That's
financially
true. You may
and
not, but I know, and
still
still you
being
can do
able
that. Absolutely.
still being able to say no, operating in a place that feels authentic to
Yeah,
yourself, like maintaining that integrity. But I
absolutely.
think to your point, right, it makes it much easier when you are doing something that is of interest to you. You don't
Mhm.
feel like, okay, I have to do this thing. I have to go after this opportunity. I have to talk to
Mhm.
that shareholder. I can't make this person mad because then I don't have any money, right? Like,
Right.
okay, well, I don't want to work with that person. I don't have to include you on this thing because
Yeah, and
this
I
is
don't have to
mine.
do that. Like,
Yeah.
this is my thing. If you're not talking to me in how many X amount of years, whatever. And you know what's interesting? The one thing that I've learned sometimes the no that you give to someone that you are afraid of giving them in the moment, a couple of years later, they may come and ask you again. If you continue to work on your craft, you're consistent, you kind of stay relevant in whatever niche or market that you're in, they will come back and ask you. I've
Yeah.
had people I've told before, like, this is not going to work for me. Either it's not enough money, I don't care about this, this is not the way that you do this. 9 times out of 10, they've come back like, "Hey, Globey, like, I know it didn't work that time, but we're interested this time. Like, is this something that you are of interest to?" Because people see, like, you're not just accepting anything. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So, it
Yeah.
actually works out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could not agree more.
yeah.
Like, y'all stay steadfast, right?
And stay
If
true to
no one
you.
else
Don't just
has
be
told
doing
you,
stuff just to do stuff. Like,
don't do
if
it.
you will burn yourself out. And I get it. When I first started, it was kind of like that for me. Like you would get so excited about anything. Like just think about if Jay-Z told you to come meet him in a dark dungeon. You're like, oh my God, let me go. But if
Right.
a random person told you to come meet him in a dark dungeon, you would never go. And
Right.
so I kind of need people to have that in their mind, in their mental, especially when it comes to working like bigger brands or people that may have bigger names than you. Don't allow yourself to feel small or just to take an opportunity because you believe that person is so massive in what it is that they're doing that you're willing to shrivel up yourself because you will always end up regretting it. Or maybe
Yeah.
just my confrontational self. Because if I
I
do
mean,
something
me
I don't
too.
want to,
Maybe
right?
that's
If
me
I'm
too.
doing something I don't want to do, we're going to have a problem, and you're going to know. Yeah.
Yes.
So just take
I
my stupid advice
like
in that
I
regard.
maybe that's because we're similar because I'm just like I'm not doing it because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel right, it doesn't vibe
Right.
with me. But also just a reminder for, as we talk to people, I do a lot of coaching and consulting and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, but like always reminding people like what is your why? You need to think about your why. You need to keep your why at the front of your mind because
Mm-hmm.
if you are like you said, like you're willing. I mean, times it's hard. People gotta make money. How to make money, but how you are gonna go with that meeting in the dark space with the random
Mm-hmm.
person because you're like, well,
I gotta
I
get
need
to
this
do
money right
it.
now,
Right. I gotta
or I
do
want
it.
the
I need.
visibility right now, right? Like you're only thinking about this moment as opposed to like, why are you doing this in the first place?
Right.
And what do you hope to gain from this
Out of it. Right.
experience? What,
What is the
what is your
long
near
term
term, long
impact? It
term?
goes
Yes.
back to legacy as well. Like when we look at, I don't want to call any popular person's name, so I'll even reframe since we are in a different era now. But if you look back at any situation now where you see some scammers have come to light, you look at shows like American Greed or anything that comes up, like your discernment has to be improved a lot of times, even in this space. Because yeah, you might have worked with someone today and the work was perfect today, but you knew they had shady business practices kind of subtly, and then 10 years comes out now your business is under investigation as well because you work with that person. So you kind of have
Right.
to think about that. Like you have to think about where you're going, what this person's morals are, what their ethics are. Are they willing to cut corners? And if they are, that's cool. But are you willing to get a conviction charge for it as well? Are you able to get in a libel suit for this too? Like you have to think beyond just the right now. And I think about that often.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, with that being said,
Yeah.
and, folks trying to like, okay, I have this hobby, I have this thing that I do, and, you don't wanna tell people all the time, like, to monetize their hobbies because
Yeah, I agree.
then they start to lose interest. Like,
Yeah.
and they always say, like, if you're doing what you love, you don't work in a day. Yes, you do. It's
You no,
harder.
actually, you work harder.
It's harder. It's really
You work
harder
harder.
when
Yeah,
you're
you
doing
actually end up
that.
working harder. I'll tell you that much.
So, like, you don't want folks to like because the hustle and bustle can take some of the fun out of it, right?
Mhm.
Especially if you're not getting to the wins immediately like you think
Mhm.
that you're going to. But, what has that looked like for you? Because again, I wouldn't say like you're monetizing your hobbies, but I know this, carnival is an interest
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
you. And how are you continuing to maintain interest in something that has, essentially become work? Also, before you answer that question, explain to the wonderful people what is carnival?
Okay, so let's go to that part. So carnival, or I would say in its modern day definition, is a large street party. If you guys are familiar with Brazil, Trinidad, Italy's carnival. It was the time prior back in the day that the wealthy would celebrate having a feast and then they would then fast for the Lenten season. If you are a Catholic or Christian in any type of capacity, you will understand what Lent, Easter, and all of the things means to the Catholic community. That said, in modern day now, or even as it is in the Caribbean, it started out of slave revolt. So it means a lot more to the people who are of African descent in the Caribbean. We started doing it as a way to emancipate ourselves out of slavery, and it was built off of a mockery of our slave owners, right? So now we're here, we're partying, we're all having a great time. Now we are in full garb, it looks sexy, there's feathers, and it's just become this big celebratory practice that we do year to year in millions of places. Carnival happen wherever you're sleeping and you think there may not be a carnival, there is a carnival. I promise you. I've
There is
recently
one.
found out there's carnival in Chicago, and I'm like, carnival in Chicago? Like, how, when did that even happen? But of course, the diaspora wants to be seen, and so that is necessary. On the side of monetizing it, fortunately, in in a good way because it's such a huge cultural thing. Kind of like us looking at, I don't know, Juneteenth, but not really. You can never really truly monetize that experience simply because of its essence, right? So I'll start by saying that. There's way to make money around it, which is just you hustling. So that means you could sell costumes, you could sell t-shirts, you could be a designer for someone, you could do tailoring, you could literally do the web making of the wires for the wings, but you can't really sell the experience of Carnival.
Right.
Okay? So I'll say that part. Um in its terms of working in a carnival space, it really is just pacing out products or pacing out projects, I should say. So, say someone approaches me to work with them for Trinidad's Carnival and then Dominica's Carnival's the next week. I'm not doing Carnival in Dominica the next week. That is insane because, again, I just finished a project and doing that. I'm still on the euphoric high of doing Trinidad's Carnival. I'm still answering the questions because there's a certain customer service element when you create content. I created the content, but now I need to answer my followers. I need to now explain what this is, why you're doing it, why this is important. So, that in itself allows for some room in between. And then just being able to say no and not functioning out of desperation. If you are desperate for money, you will more than likely say yes, even though when you don't feel like doing it. There's times I actually said no to a project recently where they wanted way more deliverables than I was or any sane person should be willing to do for the price point. And I was like, this just doesn't align with the amount of time that I have. But I can imagine if I was in a position where I needed it, I would probably say yes and I would end up overworking myself. So I would definitely say too, when you're monetizing anything, especially if it's a passion for you and you may do it so freely that you feel like the time doesn't matter, you still have to account for your time. So if it's costing you 10 hours and they're asking for something that you know is going to take you 20 hours, if the price is not making sense, you're losing. And you have to look at the math that way. Like, so I definitely look at the math that way. We can blame Howard for that. Like, I'm a Howard alum as well. So we can blame our education for that. But I definitely think thoroughly about projects that I take on and not just the money, but the mental load on myself as well. Is this going to impact my routine, my day to day, my 9 to 5 if I'm doing that, my family time? Like those things matter to me. So it's just measuring all of those things and not experiencing or trying to minimize as much burnout as possible.
I love that you talked about how it's like you can't monetize the
Yeah,
experience,
no,
right?
you really can't.
You
Like when it
can't.
comes down to you can't.
It's
Yeah,
impossible, right?
yeah.
Especially for something that's so ingrained in the culture and
Hmm.
that is so important for who we have where we've been and who we've become and
Hmm.
that a
Where we're
legacy in
going.
itself,
Yep,
right? Like
absolutely perfect.
and there's just no way that you can put a price
Price on it.
on that experience, right?
Yeah.
And like experience it. And I highly recommend everyone try to experience it for themselves.
Yes, at least
Um,
one, even if you just witness it on YouTube or you read something, especially if you are of African descent. And I mean, from the homeland, any little bit of black blood in you, I feel like it's something to read into. It's just like the most amazing free experience. Carnival can be free for you, honestly.
yes,
Besides you paying for a flight and a hotel,
right.
the everything else can be free for you if you want to
Or
go.
if you're already there, like you said, they have stuff in Chicago. So
There you go. You may live in an area where they have it naturally, and that might be the best way for you to experience it and
yes,
see what's going on.
absolutely. And also just I mean, we talked about that autonomy piece, right? Like
Hmm.
being able to say yes, being able to say no, but I I think that is so critical and key when you are thinking about the legacy and not, again like if I'm going to now make pencil cases, right? Because I love making pencil cases, I love for people to have pencils, but somebody wants me to make 150 pencil cases. I know I only have the capacity to make 75.
Hmm.
Still being able to be steadfast and forthright and say like actually no, I'm not able to deliver on that,
Right.
and honestly nobody should, but
Right.
like being able to say that, I think it helps ground you, and that also speaks to the why. It helps you say like, you know what, there's a reason why I'm doing this. I'm passionate about this activity. I'm passionate about these,
Hmm.
this experience, being able to deliver these things to people, right? If you are a travel agent or whatever it is that you
Hmm.
do, when you're able to say, like, actually, I want to maintain the integrity of
My
my
thing. Yeah.
product, my project,
Yeah.
my deliverable, right? Like I can't do that thing,
Yeah.
then that makes it easier to, again, to ensure your why is still at the forefront, but then
Mm-hmm.
also to create opportunities for yourself. Like I walk in abundance, baby. So if this is
Agree.
not the thing for me,
You
something
will.
else will come along. But
Yep.
I was true to what I said, and I was true to me being myself in this space. And that authenticity, as you mentioned before, is going to shine through. Like you said, people will come
Absolutely.
back around,
They
right?
will,
Like
because
if it's the
they
right thing for
came to
you, they
you,
will.
more than likely they came to you in the first place because you were probably an expert, you were probably a SME, you probably knew exactly what it is that you're talking about. And even from the perspective that we're talking about, which is weighing, am I going to have burnout? Is it like, do I have the bandwidth? Whatever. We can apply the feeling to it too. You don't have to have a SWOT analysis done to determine you don't want to do this. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get an email, and based on the person's tone, I can already tell they're going to be difficult to work with. I'm
Yes.
already good, babe. Again, I've been now in this space for 10 years. So there's
Right.
certain things that I can read now. I've also been a professional for just as long. So I kind of have like a really good read on people, but I know immediately if this is something I'm not interested in. Like it could be price, it could be your tone, it could be whether or not you have a growth mindset versus not, because I do not like negative people overall.
Yes.
So if we even have that, baby, I'm so good. I'll see you at another project. And you have to like,
Exactly.
I would say the best thing is knowing yourself is knowing where you're going. If you know your personality and you really are rooted in who you are, Dr. Carr, there's no way you're going to overextend yourself doing something that's unnecessary. You know it's going to hurt you. So you
Right.
just won't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So always go with self and think of how self is either putting up or shutting up to deal with something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna plug, right now, mentorship because I'm a big mentor person.
Yes.
If if you are kind of operating in this space and you're navigating it and it's all new to you and you're like, I've never been an entrepreneur, I've never had a side
Mm-hmm.
hustle, whatever, right? Like find good mentors. And we're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
go super into that because that's a whole different episode, but find really good mentors.
Yeah.
They do not have to be in the business for 45 years. They could have been in the business
For
6
two
months
years,
before you,
yeah,
right?
they will
Like,
know, right? Because they just have the little bit more experience than you. And
yes.
sometimes it just takes a two to tangle, right?
Yep.
There's a saying that where two brains are gathered, a third one forms. Because
Yes.
us bouncing ideas off of each other, you're able to come up with more concepts. So that was wonderful. And then if you don't want to tell anybody your business, I will not recommend this enough, but people need to be reading more. There is so
Mhm.
much information in books. Someone has already documented how they started a Fortune 500
Yes.
company from the ground up. You don't need to ask someone directly. It's in a book. So if you want to
Yes.
find the information, the library is there. It's free. You don't even have to go on Audible or Amazon.
It is
Just get
free,
a
y'all. Get
library
your
card.
library cards.
Exactly. Get a library card. And the amount of things that I've known, like, or have learned over the years, all due to reading, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So,
So we've been talking about, passions and
mhm.
figuring out how to kind of work in that space. And actually, I was on this webinar recently, and the the host of the webinar was just like, "Hey, when she goes into a room and she stopped asking people what are they passionate about? What are they,
Mm,
what are they going to follow their passions, right? Because not everyone had one, and it automatically made people feel
feel
negative if they didn't
bad.
have one, right? And they're like, "Well, I'm behind. I'm boring. I'm not going to succeed because I don't have a passion." And so she started asking people, what are they curious about? Right. And so
Okay.
that could lead into, just following your curiosities, and you will find that passionate thing you just probably didn't realize because people are always asking you about your passion. And you're just like, well,
Right.
I'm curious about all these
Yeah.
different things. But that really resonated with me. And I knew we were going to have this conversation. So I was, you know, you found at least a passion, right? Like you have
Hmm.
at least one, and it's around Carnival. You have many others, I know, but
Hmm.
like what recommendations, that's the word we're doing today, recommendations do you have for those who are either still trying to find their passions or stay curious,
Hmm.
or either currently trying to do more with those passions, but unsure of how to sustain that work?
I would attribute that to you just haven't done enough yet. And what I mean is try a little bit of everything. I am one of those people that is so random. The other day I was at a cocoa workshop. Why am I at a cocoa workshop? I don't know. But maybe I will like putting things with making chocolate. We never know. So I tried that. Then I was doing print collages at the Portrait Gallery one time when I was downtown in Washington, D.C. Another time I was in New York at the Louis Vuitton store learning how to press their canvas. Again, none of this I'm interested in, but I have to try it to know that I'm not interested in it.
Right.
So my number one piece of advice would definitely be to try everything. Stop saying, I don't know, I don't want to, I don't care, because you really do. When you're home by yourself and you're bored and you want a friend to go do something with,
Yes.
that in itself is holding you back. You'd probably have a passion that you wanted to tap into already. Go by yourself. I've gone to floral working. I'm making workshops, cake baking, like all of the things. Again, I don't deem myself a homemaker, but tapping into the skill and really pushing yourself beyond things that you may not be comfortable with really teaches you. The simplest example I can give you, I'm very preferential to pink, for example, for the people who may not know me. I was recently trying to change highlighter colors in my planner because we're coming up to Q4. The last one for me to use now in terms of colors was a blue. I do not prefer blue. I hate blue. I literally was like, Globey, you know what? Just give it a chance. It's a new way to expose yourself to a different color. Guess who loves it? I've only been using it for 3 days, but because it's a different color, it's inspiring different thoughts. I'm utilizing it differently. It's creating different lanes for me. And it's such a minor change, but that's a big thing in experiencing something new. So new colors, new shapes, new experiences. Try to say yes a lot more. If someone invites you to something, it's something you're not interested in, say yes.
Go
It may
anywhere.
not be the
Yeah.
thing that you're interested in when you go, but you may meet someone to put you in contact with the thing that you're interested in. For example, like this weekend, if I could run you through the most random weekend experience that I had. Like I started my morning, I think at brunch, ended up in some random person's Maserati, went in toward a $40 million building in Chelsea in New York, and then ended up in the back of an NYPD squad car. Not because I was arrested, but because I was on a side quest. The point I'm trying to make here is I said yes. And my day was so lit. Like I got exposed to real estate, law enforcement, the people I was able to rub shoulders with. I got into the UN assembly that was happening in New York last weekend, all because I said yes to experiences that I didn't really care about, but I wanted to be exposed to.
Not you was
So,
there for Climate Week.
girl,
Globey
when
at
I
UNGA.
tell
I
you
love
the
it.
most random, it was when I was in the squad car. I was at the back of an NYPD truck, blacked out with 3 officers, all of them in they were in suits, not like their military dress or whatever. And we're speeding down Fifth Avenue. I was like, this is so random, but this is the life. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
But when I tell you 10/10, I will never forget this for the rest of my life. Like, I highly recommend. That would be my number one thing. Say yes to random things. Approach new experiences that you would never do, even if it's out of your wheelhouse, just to see if you will like it. And then through that, like I call it exposure therapy almost. Through exposure therapy, you'll find out what you do like. And if you don't like it, that's great too. I absolutely don't like this. You may never use the blue light highlighter
Right.
again, but now you know,
Yeah.
right? Now you know.
And these are just, like you said, they're just small
Yeah,
things,
there's
right? Everything
small
doesn't
things
have to be
about being
grand.
curious.
It's
That's
just
it. Like
small change. Yeah.
I think people marry themselves to the idea that like if I do this once, I have to like it for the rest of my life. You don't.
Right.
You can do this for 2 weeks, and if you hate it, never do it again. I'm
Exactly.
currently working on a project career wise about autonomous delivery, actual, like how they're doing the drone deliveries now
Hmm.
for packages and Amazon. I know nothing about autonomous work. I have nobody's pilot's license. I don't understand anything. My clients are explaining it to me, but now like 2 weeks in, I have a little bit more understanding about the demand and what that looks like. And
Right.
guess who could possibly grow their career in a different field in maybe 2 months once I continue learning. So it's just those little things. Never say no to learning. Always be a student and say yes. That'd be my
Awesome.
advice.
I love that. Okay, y'all.
Yes.
This has been so great. Because I mean, obviously we're friends, so I can
Yes.
talk to you all the
You
time,
have
but
access to this all the time.
we can talk all the time. Y'all may or may not be included, but Globe and I are
Yeah.
going to talk. But so we've reached the carte blanche segment of our episode. So in carte blanche, anything goes. And I'm going to be asking Globey a question. One last question for her. So tell us one piece of advice you received, either when you were younger or where you were, first starting out. And this could be back at Howard, doesn't matter, right? But that you felt was helpful to your journey and something that you still implement on a regular basis.
Mm. So a couple of years ago, I had heard a lecture while I was at Howard about choosing the path of discipline or regret. And what my mentor at the time meant when they said this to me, is that the time is going to pass anyway in any capacity of anything that you want to work on. So let's use fitness as the example here. 2 years is going to go by whether you go to the gym or not. So 2 years can either go by and you went to the gym and you have the body that you wanted, or 2 years can go by and you didn't go to the gym and you don't have the body that you want. So the result is either the discipline that you had that made you decide to go, or the regret that you'll have because you decided you weren't going to go. So every time I weigh things in that option, it's like, okay, am I going to regret not doing this? And then I'll determine that I want to do it. Am I going to regret not doing it? And then I'll determine if I want to go that route. So that'd be the biggest piece of advice. Like, the time is going to pass. You're going to have to do the thing anyway. Will you regret this once the time has passed and you didn't do it? Or will you be happy that the time has passed and you didn't do it? The choice is really up to you. So that has guided everything for me now. Like, even in the morning, before we started recording, we were talking about seasonal depression already and not wanting to get up. Yes. I promise you, it's so gloomy. When I get up, I'm like, I do not want to do this again. But I remember the disciplined part of myself and what me going through my tasks for the day is going to be the outcome. I want the end of the day to come at 5 and I feel accomplished because I did what I said I was going to do, versus me sitting there like, oh, I should have really read today. Yep. I should have really went to the gym today. Like, why am I doing that to myself? I'm just going to go. I don't want to feel bad. So that'd be it. Discipline or regret.
I don't think I've ever heard it framed as the discipline or the regret, but I do the same process, and that's also why I have a doctorate, right? Like, the time was gonna pass.
Literally, the 3 years are gonna go by anyway. I might as well go to school.
Might as well. Why not?
Might as well. Yeah, I completely agree with you there.
So okay. That was just so good. My heart is full. I love that. Was such a perfect way to, start this morning. So, all right, for y'all, in our next couple of episodes, we are going to be talking about financial well-being as a professional when you got a little too much dip on your chip. We're going to be talking about integrating health and wellness into your practices as a, daily practice as a professional. We're going to be talking about how you can navigate generational differences in any workplace, no matter what industry you're in. So we have a lot coming up in every week. So make sure that you are continuing to come back here and listen. And I know after today's episode, you are going to want to listen to some music and, vibe out while you're thinking about your own legacy. So please do not forget to stop by KMOB1003.com. So you're going to hear some curated hits just for the culture. We will see you on Tuesday for more
questions or comments. Email tcd@hlkinstitute.com. And don't forget, check out our curated store at KMOB1003.com.